Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting and riveting and amazing spectacular Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, the one, the only, master of propaganda, your lord and master, your king of kings. Off here to a 1v1 on Crossroads Winter. In the north it is Skeletron, fighting here for America, freedom, democracy. A driven American player, currently I think roughly around rank 25 here. With Urban Assault, featuring Urban Assault equipment, Sherman Assault kits, Rangers, cover to cover, and the M4 Sherman Collide with triple infantry. To the south it is Old Mate, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Here with the Fuhrer Grenadier Brigade, with Mechanized, featuring command tanks, 250-1 half-tracks, vehicle critical repair, spotting scopes, and the howitzer. So we're off here to a riveting engagement here between the 2nd Armoured and the Fuhrer Grenadier Brigade. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my patron supporters, these champions, these heroes of the Propagandacast, who keep the dream of, me keeping doing this going by supporting the effort. You too can join their heroic ranks by pledging on Patreon, or you can donate via PayPal. Links in the description. I'll let you know, comment, like, share, subscribe, press the bell button. On the west side here, points being seized here by Old Mate. Sandbags going up there with barbed wire, creating ahead of time prepared positions, but there's always not a lot of heavy cover, which typically tends to mean you have the advantage. Machinery up the centre here, spotting perhaps ahead from any Amerikanen. Rifle squad moving westwards there, 2nd Grenadier squad down there for Old Mate. Southeast, Liaison's advancing up there. So far they're just effectively looking to secure their own part of the map and just gain some territory there. No either particular is looking to disrupt the other one's field security here, which is what you might see some players do. Skeletron sort of thinks going around there, but so far not much. And there you go, first shots fired here, close to the 2-minute mark. MU-42 catches Rifle squad here, tears into them, suppressing that poor bunch of yobos. Grab the eastern point there. 3rd Rifle squad almost there for Skeletron.
Rifle squad ready for action.
And there you go. Another series of shots up here. Rifle squad catching the Grenadiers out near, forcing the back. Pioneers diverging away from that. Looks like it's moving more towards the centre. We will probably see the 3rd Grenadier squad here from Old Mate, but beyond that, who knows? Skeletron with the 3rd Rifle squad. Probably going to see either lieutenant. Well, we're going to see either lieutenant or the captain. The question is just which is the two will happen. Like, the lieutenant typically tends more popular, but as of late there has been a slight more shift again towards captains. Old Mate there with the 3rd Grenadier squad, very much within expectations. Most Baron players will go for a triple Grenadier, a 1 build here in 1v1s and even 2v2 matches. No sign of tech yet there for Skeletron. We're probably looking at some rifle grenades here for the echelons, rifle grenade launches. Though technically the American rifle grenades didn't need launches. I think the only rifle grenades that actually needed launches were actually the German ones with the headquarters on to Schießbecker or Shooting Cup, where they had to mount the rifle before then firing the rifle grenades. I don't think the Americans utilised that. Little fun side note there. Point big sees their grenades out there for Old Mate. Pushing back the rifle squad there. Skirmishing there. Police being all on the rifle squad and the echelons. Back here we do get a lieutenant here for Skeletron. The platoon command post steadily activating. Machine turning around to deal with the flank here. Got response here by Old Mate against Skeletron. Skeletron caught off guard, but that at least was prepared. And there you go. We got the rifle grenades up there from the window. Decent hit there. The only unit that can fire grenades automatically is units with the, well, that upgrade there specifically. It used to be a time very early on as with the Brits. I think it was the assault ability where the units just chuck around grenades automatically, but beyond that, not really. Eastern side, the grenades grabbing the eastern fuel point there, very good. Grabbing northern point, and there you go. We got the lieutenant out here for Skeletron. Probably going to be filling up with a mechanized command post into Steward on M20. They would like all to be a 50 cal eventually. Most players will typically first go for the upgrade and then vehicle before the 50 cal. All rifle grenades off here. Oh, Molotov as well there. Oh, we could see White Peak. Yeah. Oh! Gets away. Super lucky there for Old Mate. Super lucky here. Bit of bad luck there for Skeletron. So close to getting just an early wipe. They've been huge. And these still grenades got the mission successfully pulled off. Well, mostly. Anyways, Otto's dead. The rest, though, looks like they will successfully escape, though they will probably need a few bullets removed from the posteriors. Bunker up there for Old Mate. Take done. Could go for a half-track here to put pressure on the Americans to return with. Probably won't. But he could do it. He could do it. Point mixes with the Grenadiers. Back here, troop reinforcing. Ambulance on the way. Mechanized command post as expected. Bunker almost done. Like to make a dodge company going up. We're probably seeing the 2-2 here from Old Mate. Reinforcing. There we go. Mechanized command post upgrade done. Gunneers the numbers of the lieutenant. We don't see any upgrades yet for the gunneers, so up close with the lieutenant will absolutely beat the stuffing out of them, and then some. He is getting the bazooka. The results concerned about light vehicles here, which makes a lot of sense, really. Stuart light tank for Skeletron. The M5A1 pioneer moving into flank of the Ralph squad.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
Burning through this armored cannon.
The bunker is now
Expecting an armored car that could go for a half track. Oh, he's going for the Pack 40 actually. That makes sense really if he's expecting the Stuart light tank. Then having a Pack 40 to deal with that is obviously the superior choice, since the 2-2 versus Stuart is not a particularly favoured engagement there for Old Mate. Got a Ralph lieutenant flanking from the north here. Ralph squad suppressed. Probably wants to get out of there before they get wiped. There you go. Lieutenant flank and then 4-2 force retreat here. West side is actually wide open. I think Skeletron's realising this is actually going to dispatch forces towards seizing the points. I think that's a really good idea there for Skeletron, rather than finding around here where it's not like he's really like finding them in like vital terrain. It's like he's finding around the curve point, but it's not really like he's going to be cutting off anything. So it's just kind of like, you know, pointless use of it, you know, attritional engagements that's not really leading to anything. Whereas you're going to be like to move more towards heat actually affect fuel supplies and slow down his opponent's economy quite a bit there. So much smarter here to move towards that for now. Much smarter though. Definitely get a bit faster up. But do we have the Stuart out here? The M5A1 Pack 40 is also out here for Old Mate. The Panzerabwehr Kanone 40. Got the carp on there, very good. Well, of course, he's got a Molotov here. There you go, Pack shoots at the Stuart but misses. Troop reinforcing, need to get a bit closer to the ambulance to heal up properly. Let's see, Old Mate goes for next. He can't take up right away and center with the fuel point car on there being hit. It's got to slow him down a bit further. He actually does go for the armored car now. So now he does have the Pack 40, does want to go for the 2-2. Makes sense, I suppose. You could also say going for a Panzer Grenadier squad, but the armored car provides with some reconnaissance assets. Synergy assets with the docks and a bit with the spotting scope. And technically also the vehicle critical repair. And also just gives them way to harass and slow down Skeletron's infantry advances. 5th column weather for Skeletron. Armored car there for Old Mate and Deutschland. The Führer Grenadier Brigade, which is one of 2 brigades formed out of the bodyguard units around the Wolfschanze that once that was stopped being used. They stood with a lot of German troops that really didn't have much of a purpose then, and so they were formed into the Führer Grenadier and Führer Begleit brigades, which would later be formed in or upgraded to divisions. At that point of the war, it didn't really matter about, you know, Panzer divisions or not. They were just like, you know, not particularly high quality stuff. Armed cavalry stood lighting, getting some shots in there. Southeast of the Grenadiers pushed back there. An interesting bit about the Führer Grenadier and Führer Begleit. Oh, we got a bit of skirmishing here. Also, Ralph's got their own health. Pack 40 moving up to assist. Shoots, misses. But an interesting bit about those 2 brigades is they actually have parts of what was known as the Landessturm, which was the predecessor of the Volkssturm, also made up of older men in reservists, effectively. And in this case, they were basically sort of just regarded as panzer fusiliers, and they were also the entire a lot of the division of brigade was mounted on bicycles, including the old men. So, yeah, it highlights the idiosyncrasies of the German army as the war hit the late stage, and supplies and manpower became increasingly big issues. Covers the Stuart light tank. Panzer squad, there's a good addition there for Old Mate. Thumbs up. Tend to get overlooked by some veteran players, but I do think a Panzer squad is a good addition in a lot of cases. Can provide some good punch and some support for your vehicles, which at times is really crucial. So there you go. Panzer Grenadier Gruppe here ready with a Sturmgewehr 44. This particular type of version of the Panzer with the assault rifle is actually more a feature of the late war Panzer brigades and late war Panzer divisions than, like, you know, anything before that. And we're talking like 1945, very late 1944 style stuff there, like Normandy,
our
No.
territory.
Fifth car coming to car point again. Internet Old Mate keeps committing to here as well, head on. Like, they really focus on both sides on this car point, despite in some ways not really mattering. Ranger side here for Skeletron, though, thumbs up. Can equip the Thompson, at which point they basically become a more expensive but also better Panzer Grenadier squad. Panzer Grenadier, I think, needs to retreat and healed up. Rifling it here. Fun push back the 50 cal. Fix up the armored car with the Western munitions. Most of the mech currently is under control of the Americans. And he's getting a huge fuel difference there. We got 41 versus 14. That is massive. And really large Skeletron need to take a head here. That is always a thing to keep in mind on the map, like Crossing or Crossroads. It just has more points in general, so like any map control here can quickly spiral into some really big advantages if Skeletron can actually leverage them correctly here versus Old Mate. Also worth noting, we have yet to see a single new squad being upgraded with a light machine gun. We got another MD-42 team that further deal with Skeletron's very aggressive infantry tactics. Very good idea there. Range is set to be equipped with the Thompson submachine gun. And that Panzer squad, they've just been treated much sooner. I don't know what Old Mate didn't do it yet. That feels like a really bad idea there. And very good checking back for the Ralph squads. Yup. So, not the best move there, but Old Mate. He should just retreat them sooner. Failed to do so and pay the price. Well, the Panzer Grenadiers paid the price. Shooting up the second machine wall. Got Molotov off here again from Skeletron as he advances further forwards. Rangers arriving, still an upgrade, second suppressed by the M42. Could use cover to cover to suppress it with smoke. Another machine gun arriving here. Armoured car again, pelted with anti-tank grenades. Ralph squad suppressed by the other M42 there. In fact, all the M42's got the Stuart arriving though. Catch the armoured car in a pretty bad spot. Brutal engagement here, and Skeletron's almost losing 2 squads here, possibly more here. 2 Old Mate, that'd be disastrous for Skeletron to lose 2 entire Ralph squads here. At least near disastrous. There you go. Got the 2-2, but now it's at high risk of losing the Stuart light tank here to Old Mate. This has been an absolutely just insane fight here between both sides. Like, I'm not entirely sure what Skeletron committed to it. And Old Mate honestly played out fairly risky as well. Particularly for Skeletron, this fight just, I don't know, seems a bit pointless. Like, he just, like, again, pushed for the fuel point, the car point, tried to further enhance his fuel lead over his opponent. Instead, he just split a lot there for minimal gains. But there you go. At least he's taking up now. Thumbs up. Meanwhile, for Skeletron, we are, Old Mate, I mean, we're also getting take up there, but he is much short on fuel and can't leverage this into tanks any faster. But Skeletron, in hand, can. Let's push back with the Lieutenant, El Teniente, 50 cal holding up here. We got the tech halfway done.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
Still no range upgrades. I'm very much surprised. And it's not like they're bad with the M1 Garants, but the Thompsons are just so good. Tech almost done here. Gunnish reinforcing. We're still not seeing any upgrades here, I think, for Old Mate's Grenadiers either. Big 2 points wise, still kind of has the lead here over Skeletron, but that can always quickly change. Rangers finally getting the Thompsons there. Thumbs up. The Thompson, while a powerful submachine gun, was also a fairly heavy submachine. It's also kind of expensive to make in for the Americans, so they actually looked to make a replacement that was overall lighter and cheaper to make. That would later become the Grease gun. They did overall try to first just make a cheaper version of the Thompson submachine gun, but in the end they just ended up with the Grease gun, which was just made out of stamped metal. Was also significantly lighter. Little fun fact there. Even more fun fact about the British, this Thompson. The British actually, when they're looking to make a submachine gun that was silenced for their commandos, they actually first tried to silence the Thompson submachine gun, but had to give up on that, and then they moved on to the Sten gun. Machine gun here, they're caught in a pretty exposed position with the rank at the flank here. Pretty good stuff there for Skeletron. Same for the Thompson, they're going to need retreat here. Had Old Mate not retreat, that would have been pretty much GG for that machine gun crew, and that would have been huge for Skeletron. The send us in trouble here, though. Again, keeps pushing around that car point, though I'm not entirely sure why. Again, it's like, it's 1 point sure, but is it really that important to fight on run? Again, there's like the fuel point here. Got the Stuart knocked out, good kill there for Old Mate. Support McCall going up there as well, very good. Skeletron could go for the Sherman here. In fact, I'm surprised he hasn't gone for it and just, you know, also gone some bolters of blades going there. And again, note here, instead of just securing all the round here, he goes for the car point again. Though we do set some cover to cover here, thumbs up. Pretty good ability. Grenade off as well here on the machine gun. I think should have gone for the gun that at least predict the retreat path here, but you know, Very nice there, though. I'm still amazed he just proceeds to neglect that just to get this particular cut-off point. Definitely feels like Skeletron has lost slight sight of something. God damn it, the president himself has ordered us to take this particular point on the road. Are you sure? Yeah, it says like here, President Hitler. I don't think our president is Hitler. Really? Yeah. Oh. Any swing westwards there. Grab these some few with the grenadiers. Show them where they're for Skeletron. Very good.
Germans are making a push.
There we go. Grab the field point here. He's also got plenty of resources like left. So I mean, one thing considered is like going for the grenade package just for grenades, but also access to smoke grenades. That could be pretty good and powerful for Skeletron. Or weapon racks for bars and bazookas, but I do think you should consider one of those two things because it's not like he's spending a lot of munitions and other things anyways. Sherman that's right around the corner, and I would definitely recommend the bolts of blades. Just makes it tougher, gives them more health and armor, and more or less just makes it a cheaper Panther 4 Model J, but you know, with a lot more utility as it gets self-repair, smoke, white phosphorus, and the ability of high explosive shells. Gunny's close to being wiped out here. That could get pretty painful there for old mate. Down to one man. Can Ludwig make it? Same to push for the car point again. But again, map control is very much in favour of Skeletron here right now versus old mate. Another cover to cover here. Rangers there, hoping to push forwards, but they're getting shot to bits here first. Turning a bit of mess here for Skeletron. Could favour their old mate, who's down to just 2 Grenadier squads. He's down to 1 Grenadier squad. He needs to replace his infantry losses. He also needs armour badly. In fact, maybe just consider Stunk here to put shot on the Shem. Then more like just go for the Panther 4 first. Pack 40 and copper the Molotov for this turning into complete disaster. He does have a second Pack 40 yet, interesting enough. But he, yeah, needs more infantry. In this case, the second Pack 40 though will save him from sending this in complete disaster, but this is still an overall horrific situation for old mate. He's down just 1 Grenadier squad. He's got a lot of support weapons, but they're going to be tough to keep going. He's actually going for another machine gun? I beg your pardon? I think a third MD-42 here is a bit of a bad call. Particularly, he should be aware there's possibly the Calliopes, which can really just punish him for having too many support weapons here. So, really would recommend another Grenadier squad of Panther Grenadiers. We've got an Austrian forward, mate. I would probably recommend a Panther 4 Stuke first before the Austrian here. Though, again, the Austrian's not a bad choice against all the infantry. But I think, considering everything else, wouldn't recommend it at all. There. I mean, old mate's build order is definitely going into some slightly weird topography at the moment. Definitely not a build order I would recommend. New Fortress and East holding up against the American assault. They again need to be mindful of a possible Calliope. Osman almost done around the corner here. Still no grenade upgrades there from Skeletron. Troops being mauled, mostly German troops. Flak Panzer though has arrived here for old mate and for Deutschland. Again, will be excellent versus the infantry. But there's just the issue of the tanks. But still, catching the troops here could actually possibly wipe the rifle squad, particularly if Skeletron's not paying attention for a brief while here, giving the Osman more time to go through shots. In the east there, troops being pushed back. Support weapons are on the run. Calliope fire here. Osman keeps up. Can he get the wipe? Can he get the wipe? Nope. Close call though for the old mate, but not quite. Pack 45 to the other German tank here. Punching so large holes. Osman in there. I mean, he can hit the rear of the Sherman with the Osman. He actually get some damage in there, to be honest. But he needs to like push westwards. He needs to get the fuel point back. Again, I'm not entirely sure what old mate is insisting on firing this. My best is just like, you know, reflex, because this map is younger than this, you know, the regular summer version where the fuel points are here. But again, like on this version, the fuel points are here and there. So again, I imagine what happened here is just like, you know, reflex. They're just used to playing on the old map so much, and they just keep forgetting that the fuel points are positioned differently, which might explain all this fight over, quite frankly, pointless terrain. In particular for old mate, he really should be pushing for the fuel point, not towards here. That was just literally a waste of time. Telemann here, that's a really good idea. They should break up an enemy attack, but he needs to get the fuel point, he needs to get the other points, he got some armor, and of course, crucially, more infantry. As for Skeletron, more Shermans would be an excellent idea, and of course, Bolters of Blades on this one. Again, very good upgrade. Rangers Raft going. We've got more telemines here from Old Mate. Very good. 2 thumbs up. And straight into the telemine. 40 side can't range within range, but he could. Oh, actually, he actually was within range. Impressive. Now that sure shows me. Also, oh, he hasn't upgraded the Osman sponge goes, but just that suggests that we got cover to cover being used. Osman on, we got the Shem knocked out here. Looks like that Osman. Yeah, we go. Gets the kill. The Osman gets the kill. It's a Panzernacker. And now the smoke might actually benefit Old Mate to get his Osman out of there. Again, really highlights just the power of telemines with the Germans. Like, a good telemine can really make a huge difference, in particular, like, in a pretty awkward spot there. So, again, that was really just some good play there by Old Mate. And definitely helped offset the other bad situation she's been in. That said, had Skeletron upgraded the bullets blades on the Sherman, that probably wouldn't have worked out there with the Osman to finish it off. And really highlights why he should have gone for the bullets and blades. But here we are. Anyways, more Pioneers here. Definitely good to help prepare the Osman, though he still needs more infantry. Badly. Still, he's low on victory points, but with this, he's kind of turning a corner here, possibly versus Skeletron, though the situation is still pretty awkward. We've got the Calliope in the M4, Sherman Calliope, compounding here the German position by the Western victory point munitions. Rocket screaming through the air. Cops, and occasionally a few squirrels as well, mostly from the blasts. Fixing up the Flak Panzer here. 3 kills, close to veterans 1 on the Ostwind. Sherman almost on the Skeletron. Around the western point here. There we go. Ostwind Flak Panzer get fixed for right. Another machine gun from Old Mate. Gott im Himmel. That is definitely not your typical Wehrmacht strategy there. 4 MG42s. I mean, it's definitely going to be very frustrating for Skeletron to deal with. The team's not got, like, you know, comprehensive use of smoke screens and other elements there. But yeah, 4 MG42s. Grenade that wipes the MG42 there. Pretty good kill, though without more to follow up with, it doesn't matter. Flak comes away through here. Close to it. Just not showing the flanking yet. 50 cal, but again, no boulders or blades here from Skeletron. So 133 to 377. 3 echelons here. Probably to help repairs, but also, you know, a minesweeper. He probably doesn't want to get off guard by another telemine here. As the telemine can quickly result in the loss of a Sherman there, as we've seen by now. Of course, the will combine with the Osprey. There you go. Rearmor hits, Panther fast off here. Sherman narrowly survives. Do get a smoke here, but a bit late. And he is going for the Bullseye Blade now. This time he seems to learn it, but it's too late. The lesson has been learned too late, and that's another Sherman knocked out here, punishing Skeletron. Honestly, for a slightly overconfident push there with the Sherman. The complete lack of instant support for that push there was definitely egregious, but also punished. And now again we got 4 MU42s here for Old Mate, making things very tough for Skeletron's infantry, though, unless of course he catches the machine gun off guard like that. We've got Rifle Grenades, we've got Molotovs, we've got Death, we've got Destruction. And of course we've got the Flak Panzer here. Half 8 vets need 2 already, and this is Far East, we've got the next probably seized by the other MU42. Now the advantage of the Osprey is actually pretty good at dealing with buildings. Somebody who's just very consistent rate of fire can just quickly tear through buildings, in particular wooden houses. So it's fairly good for dealing with garrisons as well. As you can see there, it's just dealing consistently a lot of damage there. So if Skeletron sits too slow, the Osprey could just basically clear it out. He actually switch over to the Calliope, but it does force the 5th kill out of there as it realizes it doesn't want to be in the same postal code as the Flak Panzer. Base there bombarded. That was a complete waste of rockets there by Skeletron, and crucially a complete waste of time. Old Mate could soon go for Stug. We got a Flesh Panzer squad out. He's finally replacing the losses, by the way. Thumbs up there to Old Mate. Troops reinforcing healing. Skeletron needs more tanks and needs to keep them alive. As in the end, I mean, sure, the Shermans with Bullet Blades are better than the Ostwind, but if you don't keep the Shermans alive and the opponent keeps the Ostwind alive, the Ostwind's job is going to be a lot better. 7 kills, they're very close, 32. Again, one thing came up with the Ostman is, while the Panther 4, for example, can overall in some ways like have more explosive, you know, shots, but it just really deals a lot of damage. The Ostman is just more consistent. And so it's a much better deterrent for Infantry, again, good for dealing with buildings. It's also fairly good at just getting wipes from a retreat there, if your opponent's not careful. 8 kills, very close to 52 there. Racing could get wiped out. Got Tiller Strike raining down, hitting the Ostman a bit. Racing's about to get wiped out. Go Vecchi 2, 10 kills. Vecchi 2, of course, gives a slight higher rate of fire, of course, improved performance versus aircraft. Skeletron situation actually falling apart here. I mean, just the sheer network of enemy forces of ultimate seems to be in part just utterly frustrating him. And of course, the Flak Panzer is just going to be, as you might notice, a very solid anti-infantry counter. Calliope in a lot of trouble here. Pax joining in there. We got the knocked out. And that's another white Pierce Skeletron situation. He's rapidly deteriorating now here in the face of ultimate and his assaults. He's now the one with little infantry. He's going for another Sherman, but can he keep this one alive?
The capture point is being overrun.
Meanwhile, ultimate could actually go for a Panther 4 here now. He could also go for another Ostwind, honestly. And he turned this around, but just better unit preservation. And could use some machine guns and Ostwinds, I guess. But there you go, fresh Sherman out. Need to upgrade, and of course get the Bulldozer Blades this time around. We'll have to see if he actually remembers it. He seems to be back to forgetting about those things. Panther 1 there for ultimate, thumbs up. There we go, Rangers hosing down the pack crew, Sherman in there. Almost got the pack 40 here. Black Panther around the centre, Sherman in there, shoots whiffs. Grab that pack 40 thing, be good here for Skeletron, just going to make up for some of the losses suddenly against ultimate. Really nice comeback here from Rogue, despite some incredible heavy losses early on. His opponent looking really strong, and again, part of it's just, that ability to just shift angle of attack and then suddenly down mind to the expected path of the enemy counter-attack. And of course, Skeletron being a bit lazy and just not considering his opponent might have done that.
Looks like we're getting into the excitement. Good to go.
Sherman shoots, high close rounds back. Of course, that's going to mean it's going to be exposed to the Panther 4. And of course, forcing him to switch back. And again, still no Bulldozer Blades. He can go for another Sherman now. Of course, just play for the Jackson. I mean, he's still close to winning this. His opponent's down to 68 versus his 282. So, I mean, there's still a good chance the Scout's going to win this despite some intense losses. But at the same time, he's not making this entirely easy for himself either. There we go, retrieving the troops. Pack 4's a move here. In the center, we got the Ostman going for the 5th kill there. 15 kills in the name of Deutschland. Panther 4 the damaged engine. Needs to retreat the Bravo squad before the Panther 4 crushes it. Sherman taking the long route. Note he's ordering it to hold fire to ensure it doesn't shoot at the tank away its position, giving the Panther 4 then a chance to reveal its shoot back at it. So that's a really clever trick there for those. And you might be wondering why might some order tank not to shoot in these situations. Again, it's to ensure it doesn't go its position. But there you go, Ostwind's going for the kill. The Ostwind doesn't care. The Ostwind sees on. There goes Blitzkrieg to get behind the rearm. There's also the Panther 4 time to arrive here. There you go, flanking the Sherman. Will the Ostwind get another tank kill? No, it didn't. So close. So close. It was a pretty risky proposition, but imagine that Ostwind had gotten 2 tank kills. Then these Panthers move forward, see? Panther on top of the Sherman there. Range being mortal, grenade off the midst of the troops. That was not great there, but all of these MG-42s just saved him there. Panther 4 knocked as well. The ultimate is back to down no armor. Might want to consider a Stug here. Machine they're being absolutely hosed by the other MGs. There we go.
We lost a gun crew.
So yeah, MG front here from ultimate.
Our supply line just got cut off.
Stug.
Capture point is under attack.
Thumbs up. Stug's always got a thumbs up. Ace little Ranger Sherman being fixed up. Other Sherman being fixed up. Noteworthy again, no Bulldozer Blades, but still would be good at this one here, I think, from Skeletron. Lack of smoke here. Mortar would be a good investment to just provide the smoke screen here from Skeletron. Just push force if you hadn't seen. But he has loads of research, no smoke, anyways. Grenades at this, I was trying to say there. Sorry about that. But, you know, Mort's been a good investment, honestly, several times throughout this match. But particularly now he's actually on the back foot. The smoke from the Sherman, that would have been huge. We could also use the Sherman smoke, obviously, but again, a bit too slow there. So all of his infantry got basically just hosed and pushed back. Now charging the Shermans is very much on their own. Again, no infantry support at this point. That's it, the packs are a bit exposed. There, of course, is the Stuka ramming here, finally to the front line. Can it save the tide? They here. There's still that one telemine. Shermans had almost got the pack, but also low health themselves. There you go. Target weak point. No, not target weak point, but the Stuka should be able to finish off on the Shermans. There we go. Sherman kaput. And the other one hits the telemine. With that, Skeletron is very much out of the war. So there you go. GG, game over, highlighting the sheer power, tenacity, and of course, well-placed telemines. And the power again of just not attacking into a pointless engagement, actually looking to find another way to push forwards and then preparing for the enemy counterattack. Really, that was just like, you know, in a sense, like the moment that turned Old Mate's game around for him. Like the Spartan, again, really bad engagement as well. He just switches around and suddenly, boom, things were looking better. He baited Skeletrons in the telemines, and that suddenly really gave his match, you know, much more momentum. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. Hope it gave you some matches, some things to improve upon. If it did, subscribe, like, share, comment. Of course, do consider pledging on Patreon or donating via PayPal. This is Imperial Links and cheers. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow again from another episode. Bye.